What do you think really happens after death? Your family fights for your belongings. Joke's on them. I ain't got shoot. Edit. Now my family can fight over my Reddit awards. Sounds like a problem for dead me. Existentially speaking, this comment is actually helpful. When I was a kid I drowned while on holiday with my family. A giant fat man jumped in the pool on top of me and no one noticed till I was on the bottom of the pool. I remember the feeling of my lungs being on fire, then shivering, then as everything was going dark a strange sense of peace and I was okay with it. No panic or terror, then it went black. I was resuscitated at the side of the pool a few minutes later. I remember nothing from the black to being alive again. I was around 7 when it happened and since then I've been strangely at peace with the fact that one day I will die and slip into the dark void of nothingness. Hope that helps. I fell in a pool at 6 and had a very similar experience. We clean the bed and assign it to another patient. Nurses are the darkest. It's one of the great wonders of life. What will it be like to go to sleep and never wake up? And if you think long enough about that, something will happen to you. You will find out, among other things, that it will pose the next question to you. What was it like to wake up after never having gone to sleep? That was when you were born. You see, you can't have an experience of nothing. Nature abhors a vacuum. Alan Watts. Scrolled way too far to find this. Excellent quote. Exactly the same as before you were born. It wasn't so bad. Play again? Yes. No. Now this would be pretty cool. I always wake up when I die in my dreams. I've had dreams where it seemed like I lived a lifetime. So perhaps you're onto something. Maybe we just wake up and say, all things are made of atoms. They are everywhere and they constitute everything. They are fantastically durable. Every atom you possess has almost certainly passed through several stars and been part of millions of organisms on its way to becoming you. We are so atomically numerous and so vigorously recycled at death that a significant number of our atoms, up to 1 billion for each of us, it has been suggested probably once belonged to Shakespeare and any other historical figure you care to name. So we are all reincarnations, though short-lived ones. When we die, our atoms will disassemble and move off to find new uses elsewhere, as part of a leaf or other human being or a drop of dew. Atoms themselves, however, go on practically forever. Bill Bryson. I had to scroll too far for this. Your physical body is dead. The ones who love us will miss us. Keanu. Edit. Wow. This is the most upvote comment I've gotten. That answer is the best and the most accurate answer to this question. Keanu. I'm into that. Backhand index finger pointing up. While telling a story too inappropriate for this thread, comedian Jim Jeffries talked about his childhood best friend Daniel Connor and his brother, Andrew. Dan was born with muscular dystrophy. Throughout his life, he had been dead at least 7 times and was brought back each time. When Jim asked him what happens after death, he responded with, nothing. Edit. This is my most upvoted comment ever. Thank you everyone, and thank you to the kind stranger who presented me with a wholesome award. I shall cherish it forever. Maybe it was just a long loading screen. When we die, the whole world as seen by us, dies together with us. Thanks Prime Molester. Of all the comments on this thread, yours filled me with the most existential dread. This thread gave me anxiety, but I can't stop scrolling, lol. This is the 1000th time this question has been asked on Reddit. The answers are nothingness. I think one of your best friends deletes your browsing history. Take the hard drive out of my computer at home, put it in the bath, and make sure it's completely wiped. I don't know about you, but I am supposed to get a free ice cream sundae. I second this. I'm coming for my free ice cream sundae. I personally think you just stop existing and only the memory of you lives on in the head of the people around you. Even that fades. You wake up in a chair in a cinema and learn that the other are past lives of you and you're about to watch your next life very soon on the big screen. All the people watching me now just keep yelling, "Whoa, this beach is stupid." Absolutely nothing for an indeterminate amount of time. And then, because of the vastness of the universe, and one of those infinite monkeys and infinite typewriters type things, poof, your sense of self pops back up somewhere else. Perhaps another planet billions of light years away. I only imagined that, not really believe it, because of the improbability that my consciousness exists now based on the age of the universe. Give my the age of the universe and my age. It seems quite improbable that my consciousness exists at all. So maybe it always exists. Just a thought. As I travel through existence, this is the only answer that didn't give me crippling anxiety. Thanks. I believe we just stop existing. Nothingness. However, I do think we still exist in a cosmic universal sense. It all depends on time and space. My grandmother died recently. 98 years, a good run. She no longer exists now in 2021. But she's still around, young and in her 20s in the 1940s. The only thing that separates us are two things: time and space. We don't blip out completely, we still exist along the flow of time. Did that make any sense? Little tipsy here. Makes sense. I have no idea. But we're all going together. Not slightly ominous at all. I'm not terribly religious. But I do hope there is something else beyond the veil besides an inky black nothingness. Somewhere in the vastness of the universe there has to be some echo of us. Some ripple we've put out into existence that has a touch of us still. Your body biodegrades and its atoms return to nature. Every time I nearly die, maybe like 3-4 near misses, I always have a nice kinda peaceful moment of oh well, I had a good run, and like a general feeling that I did my best. I really hope when I actually die, it's that feeling, but like lengthened into a small fading point of contentment. Just a sigh of a joyfully lived life and then nothing. Picture a wave in the ocean. You can see it, measure it, its height, the way the sunlight refracts when it passes through, and it's there, and you can see it. You know what it is. It's a wave, and then it crashes in the shore and it's gone. But the water is still there. The wave was just a different way for the water to be. For a little while. You know, it's one conception of death for Buddhists. The wave returns to the ocean, where it came from and where it's supposed to be. Edit. Quote is from the TV show The Good Place. I rewatched this episode after a good friend of mine passed. It was very comforting. You wake up sitting in a crazy alien VR system and your extraterrestrial friends are like, that was 5 minutes. Freaking crazy, right? You wake up around all your alien friends after taking a huge bong rip. Did you feel that? Hopefully not nothing, but probably nothing. I think it's something we can't understand as we are now. We go back to what we were and what everything is. Stardust and all that. I've been dead and resuscitated. There is nothing after death. You get the cocktail of drugs and hormones flooding your brain. A weird trip and then total non-existence. Sleep without dreams. If you're lucky enough to be resuscitated, it feels like it happens a split second later. This is so true and well explained. Honestly, the flood was both the scariest and most pleasant feeling I've ever had. And it definitely made me truly understand that time doesn't really exist beyond our conscious perception. I hope there is another world after death, so I can see my father and mother in the future, so they won't be alone. When I had my heart surgery, I died on the table. I was awake before the surgery and then there was nothingness when they put my under. Then I guess I died. I was in a room with my father who died 20 years earlier. It looked like my family room, but instead of couches, there were stools. The windows weren't clear either, they were frosted windows. But I could tell that it was a very bright day. My dad was there and just said, "It's really good to see you again." I asked if I was dead and he said, No, not yet. You've got a while to go. But I had to come and tell you that so you don't get too upset. I just started asking rapid fire questions about death and why he was there, and he just kept saying things would be fine and he couldn't explain all this because we didn't have time. Then I said something like, "So you made it to heaven? That's good." He said something to the effect of, "There's no heaven and there's no hell. It's really what you make it, because you can have joy, but you can't really get hurt. So, if you're good, you'll be happy here. If you're not so good, you'll never find joy here because you can't get joy from anyone's pain. Those people usually just go away. I don't even know where they go." I asked if pets were there and he said they come and go. They like to go back. Animals are so curious. You won't get it till you sit with one for a while here. And then he said, "Okay, give me a hug. You have to head out." I got up and hugged him and jokingly said, "Any advice? How about lottery numbers?" He laughed and said, "Just be a good kid. You gotta go." Then nothingness. And then a nurse was taking the tube out of my throat. Then nothingness. Then I was waking up and my wife was there. Yeah, I kinda believe there's something after we die. It's different. But there's something else my dad said that came true, and there's no way I could have guessed it on my own. It was his response when I asked if this was a dream. He said something that would later prove it wasn't. But when I tell people, they immediately think the whole story is bullshit. So I'll just say that he gave me a small bit of a future and all three things happened exactly when he said they would. I saved your comment for when I'm having an existential crisis. What a great story. I hope it all happens that way. Contrary to what everyone else is saying. Nothing. I actually believe something does happen. I'm not sure what it is, but I believe our spirit enters a different dimension or something. I should preface that I also believe in there being some sort of creator or supernatural realm. Not necessarily in the Christian or religious sense. More generally in a spiritual perspective. I drowned when I was a child. Nothing exciting happened in those few minutes. But that's because I wasn't meant to die forever. I think there's a difference between those of us who have died and come back versus those who haven't in terms of what we experience in death. An anecdote I use is my best friend passing away. He died unexpectedly a few years ago. He had told a few people he felt like that year was going to be his last, and a series of coincidences and strange events between him and I preceded his death. None of which makes a lot of logical sense. And I've had this happen with other folks, just not to the same degree. As a result, I firmly believe there is a spiritual or supernatural element to both life and death that at times facilitates links between us living here and those who have passed. That may be communication, protection, events, etc. But there are many things in life that defy any logical explanation, and I think it's ignorant or arrogant to dismiss such things outright. Hey, you finally awake. You were trying to cross the border, right? Walked right into the Imperial ambush, same as us and that thief over there. I've answered this one before, but here it is again. Either two things happen after you die. You either go somewhere or it's oblivion. If it is oblivion, then we're just going back to the same place before we were born, and there's nothing wrong with that. We were there for billions or trillions of years. Possibly infinity. You lose that concept of time since your brain doesn't work anymore, so you don't even know it's over. It's not nothing because nothing would be something, and that means that you are aware. Which you can't not be if you're dead. If we do go somewhere, then that's something no one understands because no one has ever come back to tell us. Those stories of people coming back after they died and saw stuff weren't really dead. Their hearts stopped but their brains were still working. If the universe continues to recycle itself infinitely, then there's a chance we will be reborn or continuously reborn but have no memory of our previous selves. You can now play as Luigi. I was in the hospital being treated for SVT. They gave me medicine to slow my heart rate. It was 315/BPM. And my heart stopped. Everything was white. There was a quiet I can't explain. Out of nowhere I heard a strong voice say, "You're not ready," and I woke up. My heart had stopped for 60 seconds. A nurse was straddling me. He just hooked me up to a defib machine and was about to aftershock me. I had an overdose and I became aware of a large, dark, peaceful presence in the room. I thought, no, I have lots more things to do. Woke up some time after.